Good morning. I came on a hike this morning. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting across from, well, I'll show you. I'm in Nachalamud. I took my son down to the intersection to get a ride to his job. And so I brought the dogs here. They still haven't figured out how to get all the way to me. So I can see Lola over there because there was, at one point, I hiked straight up. I know that they can get here. Um, I know that they can get to this spot because I've hiked up with them before this entire side of the mountain. Saying it's like this little crevice that goes in between. I'll show you where I'm at. That is, you see the shadow of the pillar. A minute ago, it was like maybe 5 minutes ago. It looked like a perfect profile of an Indian, and you see the front of the pillar has like this face on it. Up on this side of the mountain, up there is that altar that looks over the pillar, that ancient altar that I hiked up to before. I'm not going to hike up there because it's in full sun. And this is that cave. So it's like the energy of it is like divine masculine, divine feminine. It's, masculine and feminine. And I was thinking about the energy, like symbolically. I'm starting to really shift into understanding the meaning of things energetically. So this pillar, if you look at it, the entire mountain around it collapsed at one point around it. So you can see down there at the bottom, you can see all the stones. Everything collapsed around it, and it was strong enough within itself to stand and remain standing, even with all the chaos around it. It had its core was strong enough to continue standing. And I find that to be symbolic. It's like you can get strength in that. And with that, I don't know. I don't know. I can feel the energy of it. I still don't have words for it. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Maybe that is, you know, uh, maybe that is in my own places where I'm not standing straight up in my divine femininity. And that's maybe why I can't find you know, put words to it. I can feel it. Can't put words to it quite. But with the divine masculine, I can definitely see it. I'm seeing it from outside of myself, maybe. Yesterday, it was a really fun day. I want to talk about in this video about vibrations and being the same vibrational signature as your twin. I just want to tell about yesterday. Yesterday, my daughter had her first jam at her pub that she opened, and we went. It was really fun. I put a video of my father singing because it was an open mic night, like a jam session. And so I put it on my Facebook. So if anybody wants to go in and see my Facebook is my same name. Um, it was really, really nice. And so I want to talk about the vibration. There's more I could talk about that, but this morning I'm just kind of in myself. I don't know, just kind of maybe it's because I didn't sleep a lot, but I just feel kind of inward. But I have been having these thoughts, and I want to record them before. I want to record them while I have them. I was thinking about this, how we have the same vibrational signature with our twin. And I saw this video the other day on YouTube, how there was somebody did some kind of experiment. If I can find it, maybe I'll share it. I'll see if sometimes I promise things and then I don't do them, so I'm not promising anything, but you could probably look it up yourself. It was maybe these like bell things or something that put out like a definite sound, but it's a vibration. Sound is vibration. It was maybe a metal like bell almost, and a ding. And when they put it next to something that wasn't of the same frequency, that didn't have the same that wasn't the same, like let's say do re mi fa so la si do. So each tone has their same tone. So when they put it next to a bell that wasn't the same tone as it, nothing happened. But when they dinged it and brought it next to a like one of the bell that was of the same tone, it spread. Like this one was vibrating and making a noise, and then the one when they brought it close to the next one, the one that is of the same potential or the same vibration, it started vibrating in itself. And you can see how when two things, when they're brought together close like that, they have the same vibration. That's just, I sat down here and there's like things crawling on me. I've been sitting there for a while. There's some ants. I scratched my legs on the way up here. That's the one thing about hiking here in the summer. That so my legs are all, you can't really wear pants because it's just too hot, and your legs get all scratched up. But I'm used to it. I just moved over a little bit because there's ants there where I'm sitting, and for some reason they're just became uncomfortable. And so I'm thinking about the twin flames and how you are attracted to one another, and how out of all of the people in the world, and of there's so many stories about twin flames meeting each other from way across the world, somehow in some awkward place being able to come together and meet each other. And I'm thinking about how it's mystical, but then when you think about it, it also makes sense. And it's just goes to prove, like to me, as in my own self, how we are divine beings. And I mean all of us, all life is sacred, all life on the planet. And we think that we're apart from everything, like we are doing our own thing, but I once heard this saying that you're not doing anything, you're being done. So it kind of feels like that. We think we're doing stuff and we're running around, we're, all the chaos and all the thoughts. And when I really look at my life backwards, I really see that everything has always been divinely guided. And everywhere that I have been, every situation that I was in, everything that I have become, um, happened. I thought I was making choices all along, which, I was making my own choices, but those were always choices that were made before I even arrived at the place, and all the pain involved and all of the questioning and all of that was even part of it. You could say like all the pain and all of that was part of the divine plan, part of my becoming who I am, part of me going through the life. And because at one point, at one side, you could look back and you could say, well, if I'm just being done, then why did I have so much pain, and why did I have to, you know why couldn't I have just, I would have made those decisions anyway. I didn't have to have all the pain that was involved in them, and all of the wondering, and the like suspension, like metach is the word, like all the pressure around it and what's going to be, and if it was all divinely written anyway, then you could just take all that out. But then you realize that you couldn't take all that out, because all of that is part of what you have to go through in order to get to your peace. And the bell situation, where you ding one bell and you bring it next to another bell that is of the same tone, and how the other bell starts ringing on its own without getting any kind of stimulation. except for having the one bell next to it. It kind of like, um, it's kind of like this twin flame journey because we're the same vibrational being. Whatever one is vibrating, it's passing on to the other. So in order for us to come together, we have to be of a pure vibration. Otherwise, we're always setting each other off. And if one is in, and that I can feel that in our relationship as well. A lot of times there are, look at this cute little feather that I found. It's like black and white, and then it has a nice little fluff of like brown on it. I stuck it in my buttonhole. When one is vibrating and emitting a certain vibration, then the other one picks up on it, and that's when you come into like this. There's like when you're meeting with your twin, and there's like this stuck energy in between you, and there's like sometimes it gets to where the energy is intense or the energy goes sideways and you're like, mm. And the thing is that we each of us bounce off the other. So it doesn't, regardless if one is vibrating one thing, we're picking up on each other's vibrations. So we set each other off. And it's almost like we set each other off in opposite spirals. So if I'm spiraling in one direction, it turns him off in the opposite direction. It's like two polar sides. It's like, it's like once you go over the equator, water spirals down the drain in the opposite direction. So if I'm emitting gushy, then he's emitting repellence from it or something. I don't, there's so many aspects to it. We're such complex beings, and there's so many different vibrations to vibe that it's like, imagine that there's so many different faucets to it. Like when you look at a person, right? If you're looking at them energetically, there's so many different faucets to them and so many different ways to vibrate and so many different tiny little nuances in there. I can be feeling, any kind of feeling that is a little bit off, or any kind of thought that is vibrating something that isn't pure and of your pure essence, then it's going to set the other one off. And it's going to set the other one off in their own places too. It's like the vibrations off. So, it's like, let's say if you have a bell that is a perfect tone. I'm not a musician. I come from a musical family, but I'm not a musician. But let's say I just so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Let's say if you have a bell that is a pure, let's say, I don't know, let's just say a pure C. When you ding it, it's a pure C. And it has a crack up the side because because of things that are whatever, it got a ding and it has a crack up the side. When you ding it, it's not going to be a pure C, but it's going to be a pure potential for pure C. And you bring it next to that other pure C, that other pure C is going to try to vibrate with it, but it's going to be off. And then it's like the two can't combine. Their vibrations are going to be off. So like, I feel like in the twin flame unity, I'm picking stickers out of my knees. And I don't know why I have to share everything. In the twin flame unity, when you start coming together, you have to purify yourself. You have to go through all of those places and clear them out as much as possible so that you can, because your vibration is the same. I was also thinking about how we share, because we share the same signal. It's like the same vibration. We're on the same wavelength. That we, when you what are feelings? Feelings are vibrations. So when I have a feeling, it, even in the universe, just like my somehow because we're of the same tone, somehow we are able to find each other in the world. And I hear this about all sorts of twins, because you think about what are the chances of twins finding each other. And you have to, when you clear out your vibration to be clean enough that's closest to your pure vibration, which would, I find, is divine feminine and divine masculine, are it's like finding a pure tone. And it really is accurate, because the more I think about it and the more I feel it, it resonates with me that it's absolute. That is why we have a divine counterpart, because we come from divine essence. Um, all the faucets that come off of that and are, less likely to have a divine counterpart, an absolute. It's like finding an absolute, and it's honoring, and it's like, I'm not going to get into it because it overwhelms me, and then it starts, and I start gushing, because I feel like the more I realize how divine this whole journey is, the more I'm like humbled, and I just feel like, not in a good way, like, why me? I feel like I was chosen, but I was chosen before I was born. It's not me. It's not me, the ego me. It's this, it's the, at one point, on one side, I feel like it was chosen before me. It's my essence. It's not something, it's not me. I can't take credit for it. It's God essence. It's the essence of God. It's as ancient as existence. My ego self is the one that's saying, "Oh, why me?" But it's so funny, because my ego is like this, is minute, um in comparison to what is running through me, my being that is here. So my avatar is saying, "Why me? Why me?" It's like silly. It's like silly. It's not you. Yeah, don't get the big head. It's not you. It's and it has really, you're just like me. I'm talking to my avatar. You're just like the bowl that holds the substance, it's like you're really a very little importance, very big importance at the same time, because this existence couldn't happen, this being couldn't be in this time. And also the ego has to realize this, and put its own self out of the picture, which is, for the ego, is quite an overcoming, because it's taking away its own importance, which the ego is, that's its job, to think that it's all that. And so I could also see my ego as a separate entity from me, and be proud of my ego for lowering its head for a higher purpose. And so I'm thinking about all of the magic that had to have happened for us as twins to even come into knowing our twin, or even coming into soul recognition. Even to come into soul recognition, you have to have done ego work. You have to have done shadow work. You have to have um, lowered your ego far enough. I don't have hiking shoes on. I have like these shoes they're also kind of bent out of shape. So I have to, like, my feet are like moving around in them. So it's a little bit precarious. And I don't have I still don't have a filming stick. So I'm just holding my phone in my hand. I'm starting to work my way down the mountain. I still haven't done editing. I want to sit today and do editing. Yesterday I cleaned my house, and I went and met with a girlfriend. I'll tell about it in a minute because I want to finish up this vibrational thing. So while I have the train of thought, so I'm thinking about how honored and everything that had to have happened in order for me to meet my twin in this lifetime. Look where I am. I figure out how to get down off of this. It just goes kind of straight down from here. I don't know how well you can see it, but I'm thinking maybe I can go like over that way, hike up a little bit, and then down over. I can see a path. And maybe I'll just sit here so I can concentrate and not have to think about it. This is also a really cool place to sit because it's like right on the edge. And I don't see ants. I was actually thinking that maybe I would sit here and edit my book. I have a paper copy of it. And when I get into the house, it's like something in me starts, I get like claustrophobic inside. When I'm out, it's like my mind is open and everything in nature stimulates me. I can see the patterns and I'm just in amazement, and it inspires me and stimulates me, and I feel at peace. A whole cluster of birds going over. You know, I can see nature and I read nature and I can see the miracles all around me. When I get into the house, I start feeling like I want to be out. So this unity, in order to come into unity with your twin in any way, you have to purify your vibration. So you have to overcome your shadows, because I was even thinking about how because our core vibration is so similar, that is why when he's feeling something and I'm next to him, I can feel it. I can feel it. And he can feel me. And then by having those emotions and, around a certain situation, if we're together and we're in the same situation, I have an emotion, emotional reaction to that situation, he can feel my emotional reaction. And so a lot of times it's also, you have this emotional reaction, you have to be able to differentiate between your own and theirs. And a lot of times it just becomes a united emotional reaction. And what happens is when you have the same emotional reaction, and it doesn't have to be anything dramatic, right? It can be very, very, very like subtle. But by having the same emotional reaction, you have the same thoughts around the subject. And then you start having telepathy, or I'll think something and he'll say it, or he'll think something and I'll say it. Or we have or we'll both just look at each other and start laughing because we both know exactly what's going through our mind. We don't even have to talk about it. It's a knowing. It's like an absolute, an absolute. And it's amazing to have that kind of connection with somebody. And when you have it, it's like you want more, you want more, you want more. And that's the trying to hold on. That's the trying to grasp. The more you try to grasp, like from my side, from the chasing side, the more you try to grasp, the more they run. It's like, and I was thinking about schizophrenia, and this is something that I want to add in there, because I met somebody that last year, I saw him once or twice this year at the beach, but he has schizophrenia and he doesn't take his pills. And I think he actually enjoys talking to whoever he's talking to in his mind. And when he'll actually be sitting and you start seeing him start fidgeting, and then he'll be answering. You can tell that he's having a full-blown conversation with somebody in his mind. And somebody in his mind is telling him things, and sometimes he'll get up and he'll go off to the side and he'll start arguing. And you can tell that whoever it is answering him. because whoever it is in his brain is answering him, because he'll be saying something and they'll be answering him, and then he'll get mad and he'll say something, but he's having genuine conversation with these voices in his head. And I can understand how, if you have this companion in your head that you have conversations with, you even argue with, you're close enough to even have arguments with, that you're going to want to, you don't want to take medication to get that person out of your head, or whoever it is, the entity, out of your head. That's your companion. It's like, what, so that I can be mainstream? F mainstream. I got this cool person, this being in my brain that's with me all the time. Why am I going to take medication to get him out of my brain? I was actually wondering and thinking to myself, like, could that be a form of twin flames? Could schizophrenia be a form of you living in such telepathy with this other being that your physical body doesn't even have to come together with them, that you're just living with them inside of yourself? And then I was wondering, well, is there somebody else across the world having conversations with him? And then if you're having that close of telepathy with somebody without having to be next to them in the physical world, and you're in array with them, because when you meet people that have schizophrenia, usually they don't have peace in their minds with these other entities. They're walking around arguing with them. You can hear it all the time. And I'm wondering if that's kind of like the twin flames coming together that haven't purified themselves or cleared their vibration, but they have this strong telepathy, so they haven't vibrated each other into the physical being. I'm just wondering. Or maybe it's like telepathy through generations. It's like those movies that you see where they like time travel in between different eras. Because all of a sudden, since I've been on this twin flame journey, all of a sudden I'm remembering past lives. All of a sudden I know that my twin and I have done this before. It's like that's something that comes up in me so strong. And I've always considered myself very sound of mind, very sound of mind. That was something I could always trust. And ever since I've been on this, like in the beginning, before I physically met my twin, but now I'm understanding that I was already on the journey before we met physically. It started about 10 years ago. I'm sure of it. I know it. Ever since I had my awakening, because I've had drawings that I find that are like drawings of him and I. And that was something that the other woman that I'm in contact with, that she also realized that she has drawings that she drew before she even met her twin flame, that are drawings of that. And I have drawings of that, and I have that book that downloaded, that I know that it's connected to this twin flame journey. It was like I knew it before it came. And I knew something big was coming. I knew something big was coming. I could feel it. I was telling people around me, something big is coming. It's just like in this time right now, I can tell that there's something big coming. There's something in my life that is going to be extremely big, and it's getting ready to take off. I know it. I can feel it. It's like you're already anticipating it. And maybe this is like, maybe it's like the yin and yang. It's like, am I creating it by anticipating it? Because this is how you manifest things too. But I know that something big is coming, and I also can tell that I'm going to be provided for. I can tell that right now it's just the hump. It's the hump of getting over the hump into the new dimension, or into the new reality of it. So I can tell this. I know this. When I turned this video on, I didn't think I had a lot to say, but all of a sudden it's like the floodgates open. Oh. So I'm talking about that, like how our vibrations, because we are of the same essence, our vibrations are bringing us together. And the more we purify ourselves, the closer that we are able to come. And I feel with my twin, like the other day when we spent the whole day together, there's so many things that, it's that are subtle. It's like when you start getting further along this spiritual awakening, and you purify yourself. You at first you get rid of all the big things, the obvious things. They're like off the, and they're so painful, and they're just like. But then when you start getting into like the refinery, it's like when you get into the detail, you get so far in there inside that the changes are just like they're subtle. They're like tiny little tweakings inside of your being, inside of your ego, inside of your letting go. There's tiny little tweakings, and you start seeing the patterns. So you start also taking it with more stride. Like, it's not as painful when you find a hump that you're going over. It's still painful. Okay, I'm not going to say it's not painful. It is still painful. But in the beginning, it's so painful because the things that you're finding are like your big monsters that you all of a sudden these thought patterns that you've had all of your life and that have built the essence of who you are. All of a sudden you're giving up, and you're realizing that you've been wrong. So there's so much pain in that, because not only are you shifting and changing, and your whole being is changing, your whole thought patterns are changing, and it's like killing off addictions. It's like killing off neurons in your, and not killing them, but like shrinking them, quitting to think certain thought patterns that you've thought all your life. It's like if they have connection, like it's like a hose like this going through your brain of ways of thinking that are automatic, and all of a sudden you're weaning it off. It's just like quitting smoking. It's just like quitting any addiction, quitting alcohol. There's pain in weaning yourself off of that automatic way of thinking that you've always thought that have made up who you are. And it's also, you're not sure in your new way. It's like a baby being born into the world, and they're thrown down on the table. It's like they start going like that. When you have a baby and you put him on the table, with my babies, I used to wrap them tight because they come from the womb and they're all, cozy up in there, and they're protected. And all of a sudden they come out, and it's like they're in this big world, and they don't quite have the answers. They don't quite have the capabilities yet to fend for themselves. So it's like this losing control. But you lose control to rebuild it. And that's one of the things when I went through that massive depression, that I realized that you go through like all of your old belief systems are cleaned out, and then you slowly start building your new beliefs. And when you understand how, when you start understanding things and you start on the spiritual path, you're not willing to put just anything into your belief system. You have to really understand it and really believe it in order to adopt it, because you don't want, it's like taking all of your being and pulling. It's like a big pile of Tetris, and you take one little block out of the bottom, and the whole thing collapses on the table. And then you have to sort through everything, right? So you have to pick up piece by piece, take a look at it, see where it came from. Like, where did that belief come from? Is it a true belief? Is that something that I want to continue believing? And then you start doing like this major organization in your beliefs. Like, do I still believe this? Do I not believe this? Do I believe part of it? Where did this come from? What does this cause in me? Like, because a lot of our beliefs cause all sorts of things that, they have causes. And then when we find crap that we've been carrying around for 20 odd years, or as long as we can remember, and this belief is like totally false, and we pick it up off the table like, what? Where did that come from? And then you start searching, like, and you find an early childhood that somehow that belief was created. And then you have to start like with it. That's why it takes so long, and it's such a shift, because then you start have to going through your whole life and finding what kind of effect that belief had on you and had on who you're being. If it's a false belief, then everything that was built on it, you have to be like Mr. Inspector. You have to inspect like your whole life. And then you also have to go through all the trauma, and because when you find a false belief that you've believed your whole life. I'm hiking now along this. I'm going to find my way down there. Somehow Lola's down there. She's down there in the grass. We've been apart for quite a while now, because she didn't find her way up to me. So then you have you have to go in and you have to find where these beliefs have affected your life. And you go and you look at all the different situations that you've been in because of this belief. All of the, for instance, with me, a lot of it was my marriage. And yesterday was a real healing opportunity for me because at my daughter's thing, my ex-husband was there. And it was really nice. It was really nice. It was just it was just two people. It was just two people that know each other very well. And he actually, like, at first he was sitting off on his own, and then slowly he started moving closer, and then he just came and sat with us at the table, and it was so nice. I mean, there was another friend there that I met, that I know him off of Facebook. That's how we met. And he always likes my stuff and he follows me. And so it was really nice seeing him. I've seen him before and we've said hi before, but we never really sat together. And he's a therapist. He was telling me that he does, yeah, he's a therapist. It's amazing how many people that are working in the healing are in my life. It's like the majority of my friends are healers in one way or another. He does shiatsu and all sorts of. He said the name of what he really likes to do. It's some kind of Chinese medicine, that some kind of natural Chinese medicine that he does, and he does he does physical, like therapy. Boy, this is very precarious. Coming down this, trying to come down straight. I'm gonna have to like kind of concentrate here for a second. This is hiking down, like it's almost, say, almost straight down, almost. If you could see from straight up, you could see how far it is straight down. So I'm trying to and I'm also doing it like not facing the cliff, facing outward, and with one hand. So, and with shoes that aren't the best shoes. And stickers in my hands. So so that was really nice. We actually sat together and the kids were so happy. And my daughter was so happy. And then in the end, he went and paid my bill. So and I'm laughing because I think it's really nice. He went and paid my bill. And in the beginning, he told me, order whatever you want, I'm paying. And I was just like, okay, whatever. And then at the end, he went and I went to pay my bill. I went to pay my bill. And my daughter said, no, I've already paid your bill. I'm like, "Ah, awesome. Anan. Hello. There's people down there and they speak English. And here I am blabbing and blabbing and blabbing. So I'm going to pause it for a minute and just kind of let them pass. It's quite a sight hiking down this bluff. They're like, how'd you get up there? Okay, I got to a plateau. I got to a safe spot. Yeah, a little bit more room for me to stand. That's what it looks like if you're looking from straight up. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to sum this up here. It's already been like 38 minutes. So there was something else that I had said that I was going to talk about, that I was going to tell you about. I don't remember what it was. So I'll go ahead and end this here. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it.